Welcome back. So the South African National Editors Forum has expressed strong disapproval of KwaZulu-Natal top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's call for journalists to be investigated by the State Security Agency for alleged misinformation. Mkhwanazi pushed for this while appearing before the ad hoc committee that's probing claims of infiltration in the justice system. He says reporters found to have erred in their work should not only be held accountable by their media houses, but should also face possible imprisonment. Let's get Sanef's reaction to this and bring in their chairperson in Makhudu Sefara, who joins us now via our video link. Great to see you, sir, and thanks very much indeed for speaking to the SABC News channel. It's a strongly worded statement from Sanef, calling even for the police commissioner to condemn what Mkhwanazi had to say. But help us distill this message, because I don't imagine that Sanef is saying there should be no consequence for reporters who are peddling misinformation.
Yeah, that's correct. But we make a distinction between peddling misinformation and just simply getting a report wrong. Because if we move from a predicate that suggests that journalists can't get anything wrong, and that if they did, they must face the kind of wrath that General Mkhwanazi is talking about, then it means we're going to have quite a number of journalists imprisoned for just being human, for just simply making errors. But for us, I mean, listening to General Mkhwanazi and the manner in which he was going about rubbishing the media and other arms of state, the judiciary, and so on and so on, we were really very concerned about his seniority, in other words, that he as a senior person in the police, he's not putting any evidence on the table against any journalist who has done something wrong. He says that, there's journalists from either the Sunday Times or City Press, and for him, he doesn't even see the importance of getting that bit factually correct. Is it City Press or is it Sunday Times? What exactly is he saying? But he doesn't know. He's just spewing all of this publicly there. And he seems to suggest that where we as members of the media expose corruption, that runs counter to national security. And we would like to disagree with him very strongly on that aspect. We think that all of us are agreed that there are issues of state that require secrecy to put all of us safe and for the police to be able to infiltrate the crooks. We are agreed on that. There's no debate about that. But where people go and procure property, for example, illegally, and where people put their girlfriends in what is supposed to be state houses, as an example, there's no national security to talk about there. It's just, downright criminality or downright corruption by the police. And so we're saying the media should be allowed to expose such corruption.
Sure. And I'm sure you'll also agree, though, that the standard that journalists are being held in a country like ours, and I'm sure around the world, is slightly higher than anybody else, I suppose, who could tweet what they think they know. And I think there's something to be said about perhaps whether or not the checks and balances that ought to exist in every newsroom are hitting the right mark, such that you don't really even come up, in testimony by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, who feels at the very least that he was given an opportunity to have his side of the story, and that the allegations, whatever they may be, are balanced.
Yeah, correct. I mean, what you're raising is a very important issue. So for us, the issue is, what is the specific allegation that he has against any specific reporter from a specific media house? That's the first thing. And the second, is there something that has been published that for him is illegal? The courts are available for him to process whatever that the illegality committed by members of the press, as the right is available to anyone in the country. That's two. Three, if it's about unethical conduct, for members of the press, there's the press council. And then there's the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, if these people work for broadcasters. But he is not putting anything that is concrete on the table to say this is what members of the media have done. He's mentioned a few people, Abraham Masheho, for example. And we released a statement about a month or two ago about his interaction with Abraham Masheho. And from what we can see, Abraham simply sent him WhatsApps asking him questions to say, General, this is the information we're getting. May you please answer the following questions? Instead of dealing with the questions, he attacks Abraham. He says, aren't you a journalist who's on the take from crime intelligence?
Oh dear, it seems we've lost our audio connection to Makhudu Sefara, who is speaking to us about, I suppose, Sanef's reaction to what's taken place so far. Lt Gen Mkhwanazi saying a wide range of things when he appeared before Parliament over the past 2 days, and at some stage really taking a swipe at journalists who are apparently peddling misinformation and going as far as to suggest that there should be imprisonment for reporters who are found guilty of this. And of course, Sanef has taken great exception to that, suggesting, in fact, there may be some kind of chilling effect. And in fact, going as far as to drawing links to the apartheid regime, saying the tactics are reminiscent of the strategies used by the apartheid state to suppress truthful journalism. Makhudu Sefara, apologies for that. We lost our connection to you a short while ago. I hope you're able to hear me now. You were still just outlining that Lt Gen Mkhwanazi, yes, mentioned a few journalists' names, but as far as you're concerned, even the interactions that he had with those journalists don't, at least from where you're standing, suggest that there was any kind of misinformation that they were peddling, at least at the stage of those interactions.
No, nothing at all. And what we are saying is that as a senior police official, he should have access to the facts or the means to investigate the claims that he wants to put on the table. And so we don't want to be processing the shade that he's throwing at the industry. We want to deal with him on the basis of the facts. And where he doesn't have the facts, he shouldn't be rubbishing the entire industry and saying that everyone must just be subjected to investigations that. And so we are calling on the police commissioner and we are calling on the acting police minister to say they must look at the comments that have been made by General Mkhwanazi and reflect on where they sit, given the democratic processes that we have in our country in terms of how information is processed, and say, is this what they believe or how they believe the police should be interacting with members of the media? And we don't think so. And we think that they should condemn his conduct or issue an explanation of sorts about what they think is going on here. But I personally don't really hold out much hope. And the reason for that is that the latest stuff that has led, or information that has led General Mkhwanazi to go on this generalized attack against some members of the media is because, the IGI has released information about the slush fund. He himself has called it a slush fund, the crime intelligence slush fund, because it has been abused. And when journalists go in there and they get reports and then they put that information out there for members of the public to see the rot, the corruption that is going on there, the lack of accountability, he's crying foul, and he's behaving in the same way that we believe people or apartheid police have behaved. And we think that that conduct must not be supported. We think that conduct must not be countenanced at all. It, in fact, must be rejected with the contempt it deserves.
Sure. All right. Makhudu Sefara, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. I mean, hopefully this doesn't lead to some kind of acrimonious relationship between the media fraternity and journalists more specifically, and police who feel like they are pushing back against some kind of attempt to frustrate their work. But let's see how things unfold. Makhudu Sefara is the chairperson of the South African National Editors Forum.